All right, thanks, Mike. Leave it to Kamala's California to blame all their problems, though, on someone else, just like she does. The LA Times released this column titled, "They Say Democrats Are to Blame for California's Problems, but the GOP is MIA." Yeah, because the entire state is governed by the likes of LA and San Francisco, and most halfway decent Republicans, left the state. They can't, there's no electoral. They're in a super minority there. Virginia Allen, Daily Signal podcast host, and Patrick Dorranson, the Common Sense Cowboy. Virginia, how could you blame all the problems of California on people who are in the minority?
Only the far left, I think, could logic their way out of this one. I mean, it's been over 35 years since California went for a Republican in a presidential election. I mean, this is a little bit like a kid eating candy nonstop, even though their mom prepares them a nutritious dinner every night, and then getting really upset when they lose all their teeth.
Yeah.
And, it's like, okay, well, you have options.
Right.
Take the options that are before you and learn from the lessons of the path.
Yeah, 100%, but they won't. People just leave, and then they bring their stupid policies to Republican states and vote for the same people there. Anyway, Patrick, speaking of California, okay, you're a refugee. You left California because of these policies, one of the decent folks I was talking about. Another thing they've messed up, they want you to buy more electric cars, but then this happens where California loses power again in heat wave amid green energy push. Patrick, you were personally involved in this back in 2000.
Yeah, I was in the first energy crisis, which lasted about a year. And it was because of a lot of these policies. California has had this policy and these problems since 1996 when they deregulated electricity. Now, the Greenies loved it because they saw it as an opportunity to skirt around the utilities and create their green dream. Now, this is the problem, though, when you have preening politicians, bumbling bureaucrats, and a bunch of clueless central planners talk about the physics of electricity. You cannot run a modern society on wind and solar. It is impossible. Plus the fact California had two giant nukes on the coast. They closed one, and last year they're about to close the other. And even Gavin Newsom, had a lucid moment, and he said, boy, we better not close that because we need it. These guys have no idea how energy works. They have no idea how the grid works, and yet they keep making policies like this. Carl, there was a time during the energy crisis in 2000, I got a call from a reporter from the Associated Press, and she told me, she goes, you guys are withholding power. I know you are. I just drove through the Altamont Pass, and the windmills aren't working. And I said, it's 105 degrees. The wind ain't blowing. And I hung up on it.
Yeah. I mean, look, energy perhaps is the greatest, hand of reality coming down to just smack liberal policy. But Virginia, Tyreek Hill, okay, speaking of being smacked down by the law, has been in the news after getting pulled over on his way to the Miami Dolphins game. He was allegedly speeding, and now the body cam footage of those officers has been released. You can see he rolls down his window like a quarter inch, then rolls it back up, refuses to get out of the car. So the officers drag him out of the car and put him in handcuffs, there was a great Chris Rock skit on this, how not to get your butt kicked by the police. What's your take here?
I feel the most sympathy towards Tyreek Hill's coach. You look at the way that Tyreek Hill is interacting with these officers. If you watch the video from the get-go, he is disrespectful. He's saying, don't touch my window. It's as if he thinks, well, because I'm Tyreek Hill, I don't have to abide by the law like any other American citizen. And I have to think, gosh, if that's the way he treats law enforcement, what are his poor coaches on his football team putting up with on a daily basis?
I know. Well, it's $30 million a year, so obviously he's untouchable and better than all of us. But anyway, Patrick, this is utterly insane to me. The government is reportedly giving January 6 defendants re-education courses in jail, teaching them how Trump's some threat to democracy. Roll this garbage.
Contained in here is the re-education material that was provided to the January 6 defendants. And if you start reading through just the titles alone, you'll start to quiver. I did. Trump's crimes before he called for the attack on our democracy. Donald Trump, how he has attacked our democracy. Negligence, obstruction, rape.
People think
these are actual lesson plans. Take a look at the tablet, ask them to show you. That were available to them in the jail.
Patrick?
Yeah, well, I'm sure somewhere Joseph Stalin and Pol Pot are laughing their rear ends off because of what they're seeing happening in the United States of America. Look, this also reminds me of the Great Cultural Revolution in 1969 in Red China, when they took people and they re-educated them publicly, and then they tried to change the whole society. This is what's happening. And we have a press in this country that is nothing more than stenographers for the deep state. This is dangerous stuff. If Kamala Harris, God forbid, becomes president, we are in deep, deep trouble.
Yeah, that may be the best point. Stenographers for the deep state.